Nevada, the great silver state and the gold. New tales of Nevada, the stories, people working hard to make a home. Old tales of Nevada.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Glad to have you with us this week. We got a great show. You've heard the term Yucca Mountain, probably the most famous mountain in Nevada. Well, we got the whole story for you, past, present, and future, right after this.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. I'm to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, mare in its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City, or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle, we're the biker's bike shop.
Welcome, everybody, to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show. And next to me here, to my left side, your right side, I guess, is Hugh Roy Marshall, our executive producer, and my sidekick and my co-host. So welcome, Hugh Roy. Glad to have you with us again this week. Our special guest today is Gary Duarte. And Gary is a real specialist when it comes to nuclear energy and helping people understand the positive side of that particular energy source. So welcome, Gary.
Welcome, Gary.
Glad to have you with us this week. We're going to talk about Yucca Mountain in particular today, and the different things that have been happening there in the past, now, and what we can look forward to in the future as far as that area down there. It's right off 95 as you go south. You've probably been by there hundreds of times, as many of us have. But before we get into all of that, we always go to you, Roy, because you, Roy, tells us why we do our show, what our mission is here on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, and what he's doing up on the Comstock with his new find up there, the platinum find, the Marshall load, we call it. So tell us what's going on there. You right?
You bet. Well, you know that coins of various kinds are made up of various metals. This is a silver coin that we make up that we just haven't put John Mackey on. This is a palladium coin that has a ship on it, and this is a platinum coin which has William Tell on it.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of tell by the colors of these that, in essence, what we're looking for and what we've found have been the palladium, platinum, and silver in very large quantities at the Comstock.
Wow, wonderful.
Palladium and platinum had never been found there before. So it's basically making up this area over here that we'll be working on, but we're also involved in the gold business here and out in Ione, in Goldfield, and soon in Arizona.
Wow, that's great. You got gold everywhere.
We make little small gold bars up like this, and we'll have these for sale over at our little shop in the Reno Town Mall.
Oh, that's right. You're opening that new store, Reno Town Mall.
And so that's what we have going on, but in general, what we have going on is really a tremendous mess in the Comstock.
Yeah, that's
way too much snow again, and it's all going down into the work.
Yeah, you told me they had feet upon feet of snow.
Yeah, we had 7 to 11.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So why do we do the show, you Roy?
You bet.
We're here every week.
Sure, everybody makes a mark on this earth, and here in the state of Nevada, we have some gentlemen and ladies that have made very wonderful marks, and we felt that our community leaders need to be not only rewarded but recorded in the Historical Society and over at UNR Special Documents Division. So this matter with Yucca Mountain that we're going to talk about today that goes in there is just another a stroke forward for Gary, which We had him on the show a couple of years ago, and
Yes.
it still is not being remedied, the situation. So we're here to talk about it again.
That's right. And we're not political, one side or the other, but we like to bring in all sides. And as Nevada's history has proven to us, when we have people who have a passion for something in Nevada, they usually get it done, and it usually turns out pretty good for the state and for themselves. So Gary is one of those advocates that want to see nuclear energy used in a way that is good for all of us, you know. So we're glad to have you on the show, Gary, and welcome again to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. To remind folks, I can tell from your accent you're not an original resident of Nevada. Where are you from?
I don't have any accent. I was born and brought up in Maine.
What part of Maine?
Central Maine, Lewiston, Auburn area.
Gorgeous, right?
Portland and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of exposure to the Rocky Coast and Booth Bay Harbor and places like that. It was
beautiful. Yeah, it was a beautiful state. I've never been there. I've seen pictures, though.
Very romantic area.
Yeah, you've been there a lot. Your family was just north of it. Nova Scotia.
So I went back down through there quite a few times.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But so you spent your childhood there, and what was your favorite thing to do back in Maine besides chopping wood and hunting?
Well, you know, in communities like that, people don't realize that there are a fair amount of reasonably good musicians, because in the wintertime there was not a lot to do except stay in the house and find something to do.
That's right.
So I had gotten involved in back in the 60s in several rock and roll bands and things like that, playing around. Of course, when the Beatles hit the streets, everybody wanted to be a Beatle and be in the music business. So it started a pretty large culture, really, of music in that area.
Okay.
And it developed into a thing called the Pal Hops, and then every Friday night the police athletic leader would sponsor these programs that where 4 or 5 or 6 bands would go in and play for a half an hour each, and 1,000 kids would come in for 50 cents. And
wow,
where was Woodstock at?
Woodstock, that's in New York State.
Yes.
New York State.
Yeah, in fact, I used to vacation very close to there when I was a kid, before Woodstock. So it was,
there's a lot of rock and rollers.
Yeah, a lot of music, a lot of drugs, a lot of all kinds of things going on back in those days in the 60s. So how did you transfer from Maine to Nevada? How'd that all happen?
Well, I was personally working on actually it was started in the rock and roll business. In order to market the rock and roll business, I had to print flyers to pass them out at gigs and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I got into the printing and graphics environment way back then, and eventually developed a typesetting business in the basement of my house.
Oh, okay.
And eventually we converted and specialized in book typesetting for publishers nationwide.
I see.
But during that process, we started looking into coding for different machines. And we worked on the development of a software program that actually first brought us out to Idaho with a software developer friend of mine. And then we moved down to Reno because my sister was here and my brother-in-law, and he happened to be
So how long have you been in Reno now?
About 32 years.
32 years, 84 or so.
Yes.
When you got here, yeah, because I've been here since '86. Yeah. So that's it's been a long time you've been here. You must love it.
Well, yeah, I do. I miss hockey, though.
I miss hockey.
I don't know what it is.
Well, you know, Vegas has their own team now.
They're working on it.
Yeah, they have the Kings down there.
What people don't realize is that they set up these teams, but half of the Vegas team is from Canada. So
oh, yeah. Well, that's always the way, yeah. All the great players, or many of them, from Canada. So you are now the U.S. Nuclear Energy Foundation Director. All right.
Correct.
And so, what brought you to your interest in the nuclear energy? Was it the state of Nevada and atomic testing and that sort of thing?
Chatting with my brother-in-law Bruce Johnson was at one time head of the electrical engineering department at UNR on a Sunday afternoon, literally talking to him, what are we going to do when you retire and then I retire, which was in 2006. And we discussed things, and the most important thing on the planet to mankind is energy. And it comes with the byline, energy is the driver of all economies worldwide, and nothing can change that.
Yeah, you can't do anything without energy.
Got to have it.
Yeah, we're a creation of energy.
Hydrogen energy.
Yeah.
And
So
that's what launched it.
yeah, and you're right in the center of where nuclear energy was tested and developed, and technologies developed many years ago here. So you're in a good place.
I still had some friends up in Idaho, and Idaho houses America's nuclear energy, nuclear technology science laboratory, the Idaho National Laboratory.
Yeah, I've been by that area.
The foremost one in the country.
Yeah, pretty.
And that afternoon, I called up a friend of mine, Peter Shaw, who works up there, and said, let's do a public demonstration about nuclear technology, and we set it up and did it at the UNR back in 2006.
Yeah, and your focus with your foundation is to take some of the mystery and some of the unknowns of the energy source and make it understandable for a layman like myself who doesn't have that PhD or whatever.
Correct, and that's a difficulty that a lot of people don't understand, and it is with scientists and engineers, they live and communicate in a world of acronyms like the government does, and who knows what they mean. So what I thought is very important is to try to bridge that gap between a scientist and an engineer and a grassroots person.
Right.
And I do it in the simplistic way. I think of simple ways to do those explanations that helps both.
Yeah.
The scientist sort of gets it, and the grassroots person gets it, but the basic concept of the information transfer is accomplished.
Yeah, and your ultimate goal with that kind of teaching method is to do what? What are we trying to get to here?
I advocate nuclear technology.
Okay.
It is a part that the industry itself seems to forget that the things that they accomplish that they should be proud of. And no one talks about it because when you say the word nuclear, the only thing that comes to human mind is bomb
or a leak like happened in Pennsylvania, the 3 Mile Island disaster. It didn't help it at all, did it?
And I'm trying to simply reboot the 1953 President Eisenhower conference on atoms for peace.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about atoms for peace? We know it's a great bomb, yada yada.
Yeah.
But how about the peaceful uses? Nobody ever talks about cancer, people who are healed with cancer from radiation treatment.
Right, yeah. There's a lot of things, we started, as Uroy often talks about, Nevada being a very militarized state. We do a lot of military type things here, secret and public, one of those being the atomic testing. And so people have that fear, they have that misunderstanding about atomic energy, and we want to talk about that as we move forward in the show. We're going to take a break right now, come back, and we'll find out a little bit of history about Yucca Mountain and how that's moving forward or not. And stay tuned. Old Tales of Nevada coming right back. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Somewhere in Time is a place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected. High-end die-cast models, vintage and antique furniture, Fenton glassware, kerosene lamps, toy trains, vintage neon, a new home decor selection, brothel and casino memorabilia, jewelry creations, and cameras in large collections throughout the store. Bring the family and find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on Virginia Street in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. We're back here in Old Tales in Nevada, past and present, and we're talking with Gary Duarte. And Gary is the director of the U.S. Nuclear Energy Foundation. And I think it's a great cause, actually, because nuclear energy and solar energy and all these alternative energy sources are the thing of the future. But like we said in the last segment, there's been a lot of misinformation and fear about nuclear energy, and rightly so, because what was the first use of nuclear energy?
Well, Madame Curie, as you know, was the discoverer of radium, which was the first mineral discovered that was radioactive.
Radioactive.
And she died of fooling around and stuff.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They named the Curie, which measures the quantity of radiation after her.
Oh, okay.
So each piece of radiation has so many Curies in it.
Okay. So they from those humble beginnings, they developed this atomic bomb.
Power plants.
And that's where Mercury, Nevada became famous, right, Gary?
Yes.
Yeah. How many bombs did they explode out there?
Man, I don't know. There are hundreds of them, I believe, that when they started the development. But all of those things occurred because of the Second World War and the desire to end that crisis.
Right.
And there were always arguments, both sides, back and forth, and that's what sort of creates everything about an issue discussion is both sides of the coin.
Right.
And we've got to face those things, and those are the problems we have in Washington. They come in and they don't really want to sit down and talk about it. So.
Right. So they built the atomic bomb. They tested it in Mercury. There was radiation leak from the above ground testing. A lot of people got sick from that, according to reports. So there was this negative feeling from the beginning about the use of nuclear energy. However, as time progressed, right, Gary, states and countries started to build plants.
Yes. To make the conversion to Eisenhower's speech in 1953, Atoms for Peace. And those things they occur, but people don't really remember and focus on them long enough. The problems that people complain about, Madame Curie found and discovered radiation and developed it. It affected her, but it was a learning process. You can't learn without doing things.
Right.
And people sort of forget about that. There are a lot of people who flew test airplanes who passed away in airplanes because the machine failed.
Yeah.
Well, you got to expect those kinds of things to happen in any industry.
Right.
There are people who are going to die in solar industry because they fall off the tower.
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean,
wind energy is famous for that. Yeah. So from the negative and fearful expectations of nuclear energy. And with Eisenhower's help and others around the world, they started building nuclear power plants, right?
Yes.
Do we have one in Nevada? I don't think we have. No, we don't have one in Nevada.
We have the Palo Verde plant in Arizona and two others that are being built.
Oh, is that right, in Arizona? Mm-hmm. And then there's some all along the coast. Isn't there along the coast of California?
There's really three types of nuclear energy that you need to focus on. One is fission, one is fusion, and the other is a naturally occurring radiation. There's nothing wrong with these processes that are going on constantly from the sun to us, holding us in position like a tractor beam. And it's the radiation effect, basically, from the sun that's making everything happen for us.
Yeah.
So it's an essential process going on all the time in nature.
Yeah, and to harness it and
People
use it.
look at it like, well, we created something really dangerous and everyone's shooting at each other, you know.
Yeah.
This is a wrong attitude.
Yeah. So
that's right. Essentially, solar energy is nuclear.
It is. Well, I was reading something the other day. Every second or so on the sun, there are these thousands of nuclear explosions. You know, and they said in 1 second, there's enough energy produced to take care of the needs of the Earth for 200,000 years. That's how much energy is in the sun. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
The whole thing about progress of almost all energy forms or all forms of anything is the learning process.
Right.
We have to learn to control it.
Right.
And we've learned those things.
Yeah.
It's taken some time, but we've gotten to that.
Yeah, it's moving forward. Now, with these nuclear plants that I've been referring to, that there are consequences to producing that energy. There is waste that occurs, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that was the genesis of Yucca Mountain and the use of Yucca Mountain, because it wasn't feasible, I guess, for these companies that had the nuclear power plants to store their own waste. It just wasn't available to do it, or the technology wasn't available. So therefore, Yucca Mountain became important. And how many years ago were they? When did that all start to become an issue or a possibility? Do you recall?
It was back in the 80s. Well, I mean, it was known before that, even during the Second World War, that we were going to have to develop something to do that.
Right.
And the science and the engineers, the conclusions were that those types of materials should be accumulated in the separate places that they were and then moved to a central repository.
Central location.
Right.
And I would imagine because Nevada was used for the atomic test sites and it was rather unpopulated state for many years, right, that, I could see the government officials saying, why don't we go to Nevada and find a place to store nuclear waste, right? Is that pretty much the way it was coming about?
Well, is it as much a joke or a laugh, or is it common sense?
Common sense.
Well, I see both sides of it, certainly we have the wide open spaces.
Yes.
But my question I was asking you off camera was, why Yucca Mountain? There's so many other mountains, right? There's mountains in other places that are kind of isolated. Why Yucca Mountain?
It wasn't just a single upfront selection. There were, I think, 6 or 8 or maybe even 10 different areas located. They looked at Vermont, the granite locations and things like that. And so it... I don't know. Because things are political instead of logic, common sense, and deductive reasoning, is why at the end of it, Yucca Mountain got the reputation for the "Screw Nevada" bill. But I mean, I think the problem that Nevada has is that they don't appreciate the value that Nevada served in testing atomic bombs during the Second World War.
Yes.
And that was really a nationwide contribution.
Sure. Well, there were 3 states, right? New Mexico and Washington. state,
correct,
and Nevada.
Yes,
those were the three main
yes.
areas in those days.
And so those things are really important.
And Livermore, California, probably.
Yeah. And now, when they talk about the potential loss of life from radiation is really insignificant when you consider that the atomic bomb, they calculated that it had saved over the next 2 or 3 years probably 1.2 or 3 million lives.
Yeah.
To stop that war.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, Yucca Mountain evidently has the right kind of rock formation, and the water is. It must be real dry there.
Well, what they did, as I mentioned earlier, is that they blasted an 8,000-foot hole, about 1,200 feet wide, outside of Mercury, which was a top secret project. And the reason for doing that was to determine not only what the rockiness were, but what it would do to the area in the event of an explosion.
Yeah.
And then they would collect the minerals, the crystals that would grow on those wall rocks. The people that worked there were my ex-employees.
Oh, okay.
So
you had all that information.
I found out about all
yeah.
some beautiful red crystals that were there.
Yeah, was that at the test site itself?
It's next to Mercury, but it's in a top secret location.
Oh, it's in a top secret location. Yeah. Okay, because Yucca Mountain is about 30 miles north of Mercury.
Yeah.
I think something like that, right off 95, 40, outside of Beatty. I think you can see it from the road, actually. Can't you?
You can see part of it, yeah.
Yeah, you can see the road going up there.
It goes up to it,
yeah. What's that little town that's outside that's got the little spaceman and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Is it Opal or something?
I was by there just the other day.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it there.
Yeah, that's where they have the Alien Cafe. Yeah.
Alien Cafe, yeah. So if you're there, then you can look to the east, and you can see part of the Yucca Mountain. It really doesn't look like a typical mountain, does it? It's kind of like a plateau or something like that.
That's probably the answer. If we had more aliens in Nevada, they might be more receptive.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, they probably using a whole different energy source. You know what I mean? So they're way beyond us.
Well, the thing you got to remember about the energy we're a hydrogen-powered being.
Yeah.
With electrical network of PGMs and PTs, which are our electrical system.
Okay.
But we're a hydrogen-based being just like the sun.
Okay, I'm taking your word for all of this.
Yeah.
I want you to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about being a layman.
See, hydrogen goes with O2 and then becomes water.
Oh, okay.
Which our bodies are 76% water.
I believe that.
Yeah.
As many times as I have to go to the bathroom.
We have a close relationship with a hydrogen molecule.
All right. So what happens? You get old. You go to the bathroom a lot. So anyway, getting back to the subject here, there is a lot of interest in Yucca Mountain. There was a lot of protests about it. It seems to have quieted down because it was it Congress or was it the state put a stop to it? Somebody's got a phone call. So if they can, somebody order a pizza while you're at it. So why is the controversy settled down so much for? Do you know, Gary?
Well, I'm not sure it's settled down. I think that the problem is that we need to engage both sides into the discussion. And it seems that for the most part, the Nevada environment, I think mostly because of the perception of the Screw Nevada bill, is opposed to it for that reason.
Okay, let's take a break there. I'm getting a little overtime because of the phone call there. Let's break here and we'll come back to this, okay? On Old Tales of Nevada, past and present.
That's good.
Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno. Boutique Elegante's Winter Super Sale is on now. Get 30 to 50% off all winter fashions, sizes up to 4X. Shop while the selection is great. That and so much more at Boutique Elegante, Lakeside Court in Reno.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Pastime in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
Deluxe Travel, locally owned and operating since 1991, is the home for travel to Mexico and Central and South America. The crew at Deluxe Travel is bilingual, trustworthy, thorough, and caring. They will do everything possible to make your dream vacation the best it can be. Now is the time to book for winter travel, so stop by the office at 100 California Avenue or call 686-7000. You can also check us out on our website at deluxetravelLTD.com.
At Deluxe Travel, we sell dreams. Come in and plan yours.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Men, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang Series. Which depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, mare in its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Welcome back to Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. Let's remind everybody who we are. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show. Our executive producer is Roy Marshall, and our special guest today, Gary Duarte, who is the director of U.S. Nuclear Energy Foundation. And we've been talking a lot about the nuclear energy business here in Nevada and the controversy over Yucca Mountain, do it or don't do it. And as we left the last segment, it seemed like the controversy compared to what it was in years past, you don't hear much about Yucca Mountain anymore. So I'm asking you, what happened? Where do we stand in the process now? Where is there a process? Is it totally closed and stopped, or is there a future?
Well, the physical process at the mountain itself right now is stopped, and it was stopped a few years ago by the Obama administration. Sadly, though, the discussions between both sides did not get to a point of trying to resolve it properly, because the site selection was passed back in 1982 and upgraded in 85.
Right, a long time ago.
In congressional law. Mm-hmm. So the fair way to do that, as far as representation of the people throughout the country, is for the state of Nevada and its representatives to go back to Congress and ask for them for a reconsideration or a change of siting, et cetera, for the mountain itself. Mm-hmm. And we've never done that. So the reality is that the law still exists, and the law still requires that the Department of Energy complete the application review study and process.
It's been going on for 30 years now.
Correct.
Yeah.
But through the state of Nevada, the only way that it was stopped was not by the legal process in Congress, but they defunded the completion of it.
Okay.
And what has sort of fired it up in recent months is the new administration has committed to reapplying $120 million to reactivate or complete the Yucca Mountain study.
Okay.
It's not build a mountain, but let's at least finish the science and engineering study.
Yeah. So is there waste in that mountain right now?
No.
There's nothing there now. Okay. So the big protest to the mountain being used was this transportation of the waste that came from all these different plants through Nevada, through communities over to the mountain, where the mountain would probably be safe. It's all that transportation thing. And a lot of it is based based on the fear of nuclear leaks and radiation and things like that. So that's where your foundation comes into play. You're out there to educate the layman,
right,
the people who have these fears, and try to allay those fears so that Nevada can benefit from having the use of Yucca Mountain.
Correct.
And I've heard in the past that there be some monetary compensation to the residents, just like Alaska has with their oil explorations. You know, the residents get a check every year.
Right.
I think that's a fabulous idea. I would take that personally. but there are different ideas out there. But the first thing is you have to allay the fears that people have about the energy source. So that's where your foundation is important. So what are you doing? Show us an example of how you're educating people about nuclear energy so there isn't that great fear or apprehension about using the state for those reasons.
In the past, we've produced a fair amount of literature and these rack cards to talk about the issues and things like that. Recently, we started doing trips. We're trying to organize the stakeholders, either political or business leaders interested in going up to tour the Idaho National Laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all of this science and engineering and things like that are being done.
New technologies.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it's important that the people understand that as much as we've seen cell phones and TV, flat screen TVs and those things advance over the past 20 years, nuclear technology has been doing the same thing.
Yeah, show us by illustration there. You have your demonstration there that indicates the changes.
We have a little, a little thing. Well, this is actually a brick.
Yeah, it looks
and
like
I'm
a
sure
brick.
you guys probably.
I'm glad it's not a radiation block. Actually.
No. It's a brick. But you remember when the first cell phones were this size? You put them up to your ear this way and chat.
Like a walkie-talkie.
So my last cell phone is this guy right here. All right. So it's a flip-flop.
That's one of those Sports Illustrated phones you used to get free with the subscription, it looks like. Yeah.
If you say so.
Whatever.
So that's the comparison. Now, this guy has converted in the last 2 or 3 years or 5 years to a thin mint cell phone.
Right.
So now you have 3 of them. This way?
Yeah, either way. You got cameras all over here, so it doesn't make any difference.
So now you have this many cell phones that fit into the old brick that we were utilizing several years ago, maybe 10, 12, 14 years ago now. So this represents 15 cell phones. That's not a bad example. Another one is
that's progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
The another one is I got this little bag of simulated pellets.
Good.
These guys here are what represent the types of fuel pellets that go into the fuel assemblies.
Okay.
They're 16 feet long. These are slid down a tube, and there are multiple tubes that make up the fuel assemblies for our current generation of reactors.
Right, and that's the waste eventually that you...
Right, the waste comes from this, but ironically, our ability to burn this fuel efficiently is only at 6%.
Oh.
So all of these fuel pellets go into the assemblies, and we run them for 2, 3 to 5 years.
I see.
Then they remove these with the waste portion of it that's left, and then that goes into storage eventually to theoretically go to Yucca Mountain.
I see. Okay.
So that's what those are. When you go up to visit the Idaho National Laboratory, they're working on the advanced fuels projects, and those come out, and these are a standard BB that you'd use in a BB gun. Their next generation of fuel pellets they're developing around half the size of these BBs.
Okay.
And they're working on this technology and this experimental things in order to try to improve the amount of storage, the amount of burn rate that you we have in the next generation of fuel assemblies for reactors.
Well, it makes total sense. And at some point, I would imagine, because of science, technology, and advancement, that there would not even be a need for Yucca Mountain, because it'll be self-consumed some way at the plants themselves.
They know theoretically that we can get there.
Yeah.
Let me talk just a little bit about the radiation technology.
Sure.
That mankind is at the point now where we do have the ability to neutralize radioactive substances and materials.
In great quantities, no.
And in relatively small amounts at a time, and that has to be expanded to a much broader area. But that part has been done. But the part that needs to be done is the recycling, and that's the next stage that will occur.
Take that waste and then recycle it and produce it again somehow, some way. Well, they do with every other kind of energy, pretty much. Coal was known as dirty, and that's why they quit using it for a number of years. But even that technology has gotten so advanced, they call it clean coal now. So the
fusion process with hydrogen is much cleaner than the fission process typical of bombs and explosion type higher grade nuclear materials.
Yeah. So what are you doing, Gary, as far as the foundation? Do you take this kind of information and make presentations with it to large groups, especially those who might be sensitive to this whole project?
Yes, I'm trying to do those things as best I can.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. I have to learn a little bit about video, but I did do a demo that I have up on our YouTube channel of launching this little imitation truck off, and basically it has a little pink 2-pound my wife's exercise barbell, and you take it the truck and launch it off from a table, and it smashes down the street, and then it simulates what might happen in a truck accident or a train accident with a transportation cask.
Right.
And those casks have been tested into a concrete wall at 80 miles an hour. And the impact destroys the concrete, but it does not violate the internal contents of the spent fuel rods and things like that.
Okay, because that's been a big concern about the railroads.
Yeah.
You know, we hear about accidents all the time.
Yes.
And it's not because of the casks, but it's because of the railroads themselves.
But by design, in that discussion, those trucks, trains that are transporting those things are never going to go over 35 or 40 miles an hour.
Oh, really? Yeah, they're going to restrict it.
Why would you question whether or not that thing could be destroyed in a transportation accident?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Once they put that hazardous deal on the trucks or whatever, all kinds of people are watching it from after that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They got a lot of regulations, a lot of inspections.
A lot of eyes out there.
But we're still human. We still make errors, and accidents can happen.
Oh, yeah.
But, it'd be minimal. The odds are something of a very minimal nature, I would think.
In the future, long run, those truck transportations to the potential nuclear Yucca repository site would be like Hugh moving gold bars from one location, from Fort Knox to the shed in the backyard here.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
pretty
listen,
desirable.
Let's take another break here, and we'll come back and see what the future is for you and also for Yucca Mountain, and finish up this whole thing about atomic energy in Nevada, which has been around forever here in the state. So stay tuned. More Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, coming your way.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first. Somewhere in Time is a place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected. High-end die-cast models, vintage and antique furniture, Fenton glassware, kerosene lamps, toy trains, vintage neon, a new home decor selection, brothel and casino memorabilia, jewelry creations, and cameras in large collections throughout the store. Bring the family and find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on Virginia Street in Reno.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Deluxe Travel, locally owned and operating since 1991, is the home for travel to Mexico and Central and South America. The crew at Deluxe Travel is bilingual, trustworthy, thorough, and caring. They will do everything possible to make your dream vacation the best it can be. Now is the time to book for winter travel, so stop by the office at 100 California Avenue or call 686-7000. You can also check us out on our website at deluxetravelLTD.com.
At Deluxe Travel, we sell dreams. Come in and plan yours.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Welcome back to our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present for this week. Certainly not the last of the nuclear energy story in Nevada and Yucca Mountain. I'm sure we're going to have continuing discussions, if not a final decision and use at that site out there. But, you know, one thing we haven't talked about, and it's very important for Nevada to think about, is the economic impacts that nuclear energy storage would have for Nevada, not just the transportation of the waste to the facility, but beyond it being there and being reprocessed is a whole nother industry, right, Gary?
Yes. I'll get into that, but essentially, let's look at the build itself. When you talk about doing things, they talk about the build.
Yeah.
And the four largest mega casinos in Las Vegas were a $6.5 billion build, four of them combined to produce those. Currently, the new Tesla factory out here in Reno Sparks, Nevada, is a $6 billion build. Both of these entities are extremely excited about the spread in economics throughout the state of Nevada.
Sure.
Yucca Mountain is projected at being a $96 or $7 billion build.
Still to happen.
Correct.
Wow.
That's simply to go into the mountain. There's a 6-mile tunnel, and start building it, and then build the side drifts so that the casks can be stored there.
Yeah, that hasn't been done yet, huh? So
no.
How far are they into it? I know they have a tunnel because you have a picture of it on your poster.
They only have the basic tunnel itself. The side drifts are not done.
Oh, I see.
But it has been engineered so that they're retrievable. So the side drifts will be moving the casks themselves into the side holes out, but they will be on rails and robotics.
Okay.
So it will be probably the largest heavy-duty robotics design and engineering on the planet.
Wow, amazing.
People don't realize this.
Yeah.
And then you have surveillance.
Yeah.
At a conference a year or so ago, I was talking with some people, and they monitor and watch the current fuel casks that are at the 71 individual sites throughout the country.
I see.
They're developing robotics the size of your thumbnail to go down inside and monitor the decay processes that are going on there.
It's pretty amazing, isn't
It's simple and logical, but people, the grassroots public, need to know some of this information. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
But at least they realize that the nuclear industry is really making some forward strides.
Sure.
So that's the build portion of it. A lot of people, the Areva people in France do all the reprocessing for the European Union or something along that line.
And how long has that been operating?
About 20 years.
Safely?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In La Hague, France.
Okay.
Their primary interest is reducing the size, not for the economics, because I don't know, but I still believe that reprocessed spent nuclear fuel is more costly than starting from scratch with the uranium and doing it that way. So I don't know what those figures are. You could guess at 5, 10 to 30%. It's a little bit irrelevant.
Right.
But the value of it to them is the reduction in size.
Sure.
Which is, they reduce it from size from 100% down to 6%. And that's pretty important.
Makes a big difference.
Yes.
In our case, we know that science and engineering is working on new methods to develop to make the reprocessing process more efficient so that it becomes an economic asset, a profitability factor.
And probably in the trillions of dollars, I would think.
Yeah, it definitely is in the trillions, and I can tell you that I have a paper from written by Kenneth Koch, who spoke to this at an international conference in 2013 in Sweden, I think it was. And the world volume of spent nuclear fuel he valued at $100 trillion.
Amazing. Wow, that's great.
And I asked him specifically, our U.S. ownership is 77,000 metric tons of spent fuel that we would like to put in a repository in Yucca Mountain.
Right.
What would that value be? And he came back with the $14 trillion number.
So we would take the spent fuel and we put it to Yucca Mountain, and then we'd probably have to develop a reprocessing plant very close to the depository. It totally makes sense, right?
And that size is another probably 40 or 50 billion dollars.
Yeah.
That's what, when people run off with, like, my old terminology, run off half-cocked. The old
could add a new population.
Gun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you'd have to have a lot of workers down there. That'd be a whole new metropolis.
But, they say, well, I want to reprocess, not just store it there. That's another step.
Yeah.
And everything that we learn about nuclear and everything, wind and solar, there are steps that make it more efficient.
Absolutely. Sure.
And so, my guesstimate is that the ability to really make spent fuel profitable, we're probably still another 20 years out.
Okay.
That's why you put it in a repository.
Yeah, exactly. Until it's ready to be used. Yeah. Well, Nevada, if we look at the history of Nevada, right, Roy? Starting with Virginia City, we are the the incubator of technology, really. The state has always been an incubator of technology. In fact, Virginia City was the industrial center of the United States.
Because of silver.
Because of silver and gold and all the different things they had to develop there. And they made progress, made mistakes, but finally perfected a technique that is still being used today in many cases.
Right.
So the same thing can happen with atomic energy if we allow it to happen.
I really personally believe that the effort has been stymied by our friend over in North Korea on the one hand, then on the other hand, the military is getting very excited about this and what to do in the event something happens. So they're going to be eyeing Yucca Mountain here pretty close.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of has for the positive part of the nuclear, that's a very big negative for them to shoot us with a nuclear weapon over there.
Yeah, we don't
that guy
want to be seeing that happen.
Yeah.
But the economy of Nevada just is bright if you look to the future with all the new technology coming, and even Tesla, who's up here in northern Nevada, I'm sure they have an interest in what's going on down there at Yucca Mountain as well.
Well, I tell you who really has the interest is Eros, who has the major depository of radioactive waste now in Nevada.
Oh, where?
Which is right off the road as you're going to Vegas.
Oh, really?
On the right there, yeah. Okay. All the stuff that I had to have it sent there.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I had that old processing thing where they had the electrical in Virginia City from the I don't know when, but
wow.
It was full of those PCP stuff and all that electrical crap.
So, before we end the show, Gary, are you looking for more help in your quest here? It seems like you're a pioneer, a pilgrim out there, maybe a voice in the dark in some cases, and there's a lot of education that has to be done. So, how are you doing with the foundation? Do you need more help? Is it scientific help? More spokespeople? How does it work for you?
I need a tremendous amount of help, but a lot of it is trying to get these things done, both the videos and things like this. It's really just, can we get together at a table and have a conversation?
Yeah.
That's why I invite the political people. Give me a call. I'm surprised the media. They'll do discussions about Yucca Mountain and things like that, and they'll talk about the political opposition more so than having a two-sided discussion.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. I have a decade of research and information, not scientific data that would bury you, but just information about things that are facts. The fact is that someone else, Kenneth Koch, calculated that eventually we know that we can extract $14 trillion from that material.
Yeah.
The other thing is, let's talk about all of the above.
Yeah.
Energy. Sure. You can take oil, wind, solar, but include nuclear in it.
Right.
And nuclear should be revisited as a renewable energy because we have unlimited.
Yeah. Oh, we have unlimited amount. So and in Nevada, again, we have all these resources, natural resources at our disposal. And it seems to me that nuclear would be a central part. But we don't even have a plant here. We don't have a plant that produces energy for us, for our own households. And that seems a little odd since we were the forerunners.
It would be great if we had a couple of plants either down on the Mexico border or over in California, nuclear plants that were desalinating water.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could send enough water into Nevada to make it one of those crop-producing states.
Yeah, let me ask you, so if people want to get in touch with you, Gary, how do they do that? Do you have a phone number? Is there a website? Is the foundation available on the website? Or what?
Oh, yeah, we have a pretty good presence on the website. Okay. It's www.usnuclearenergy.org.
Okay, and you can find videos there and things like that.
Videos there and a lot of the technical information. My phone number is there, the cell, and I'd be happy to talk with anyone about it at any time.
We have to end it right there. But thank you, Gary, and I appreciate your passion for this, because I know you're not making a lot for doing this. This is a thing that you have
an obsession,
have a heart for,
passion and obsession. For humanity, really.
There you go.
That's crazy.
So thank you for being there, and we brings us pride to have you here in the state of Nevada talking about these things and promoting these things. Roy, thank you for letting us use your house here, being in the museum room in the mansion, and we want to thank the audience most of all for being with us and watching the show, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and invite you back next week for another edition of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. In the meantime, I've been forgetting to say this, have a great Nevada day.